Welcome to YK Paintball, and today we're going to be talking about the Virtue Spire IR. So the Virtue Spire IR is a loader made by Virtue Paintball. In this video I'm going to kind of give you a general overview of the loader, then I'm going to give you my specific pros and cons about it, and then there will be two videos showing how it feeds while I'm actually shooting a marker, one with the spring ram and another video without the spring ram. For a general overview, I'll start with the fact that it's made by Virtue Paintball. Back when I first started playing, back when I was my most competitive, playing in tournaments and all of that, Virtue was making circuit boards for guns. That was like their big bread and butter business. You just drop the board into your gun, you got all sorts of different cool modes and stuff like that. The market for marker upgrades has shrunk significantly. People don't really buy circuit boards anymore. I think marker manufacturers are really good about giving everything that you would want in your marker, so people don't want upgrades as much. So Virtue have shifted their business to soft goods and hard goods. Soft goods like pants, gloves, pod packs, that sort of thing. And then hard goods like masks and loaders. They've got two loaders, the Virtue Spire IR and then the big brother, the Spire 3, which is the highest end version with all the big bells and whistles and stuff like that, while the Spire IR at $100 is the more budget version of the two. The Spire IR, their big draw is that it's supposedly the softest on paint. I haven't been able to test that super well because I've only been able to use kind of like $40-ish to $60 mid-range paint. I haven't been able to shoot like super brittle tournament paint. However, I was able to shoot one hopper full of paint that had been sitting in a car for a really long time, and you know, this is the Florida heat, and so it did get very, very brittle, and it actually did not break a single ball. You'll see actually in one of the shooting videos that the balls are just breaking in the air, but I still did not break a single ball in here with that really, really crappy hot paint. And I think that's mostly for two reasons. The first is the Spire feed cone system, which I will show you in a second. So the Spire feed cone system, or the Spire loader, is named after the Spire feed cone system. You can see here it is a tall spire, and this thing spins to feed the paint, and there are rubber feet down here that are soft. I don't know if you can see it, but you can like bend them back and forth to direct the paint into the feed neck. And this Spire drive cone design is one of the things that Virtue says makes it very soft on brittle paint. The other reason that it's supposedly the softest on paint is the infrared eyes, the IR part of Spire IR. Infrared eyes aren't a new technology to loaders. They're not a new technology to the world even, but it's something that will help it be softer on paint. When there is paint that's breaking the laser, it's not going to feed. But when there's no paint, it's going to start going. And so I'll turn it on. You can hear it, it's loading, there's nothing in there, there's no paint in here. You can see the IR eyes, they're red and they're on. When I stick my finger in there, I break the laser and it stops feeding. And so the reason this helps it be soft on paint is that there are other systems, like a kind of tension-based system where instead of eyes, it's putting pressure on the paint, and then when there's no pressure, the thing starts to spin and really go. And so because there's no pressure or anything like that being put on the paint, it's going to be softer on brittle paint. Now before I get into the specific pros and cons, I just want to let you know kind of my level of experience with the loader so you have a good idea of where I'm coming from. I've only shot about 5 cases through it, so it's not like I've had this for an extended period of time, but I have become pretty comfortable with the loader. I do feel like I have got a good feel for it. That said, I don't have like years and years of experience with it, and so just kind of keep that in mind when I'm talking about my pros and cons. Now I want to move on to the pros and cons of this thing. Like I said, I've got 4 big things that I really like about the loader, and then 3 really minor issues. So to the pros, first and most importantly, in my opinion, is the damn thing works. It works really, really, really well. It feeds when you want it to feed, it feeds consistently, it feeds reliably. I've never had it fail on me. Like I said, I've only shot like 5 cases through it, but it does its job. I've held lanes, I've snapped shot, and it's always giving me paint when I need it. I can hold a lane. I've never seen gaps in the paint from the loader not feeding. It works well, it works consistently, it does its job. And that's the most important thing with the loader. You just want to make sure it's giving you your paint. And it definitely gives you your paint. The next thing that I really like about the loader is that it looks really freaking cool. When I first got it, I actually did not like how it looked like at all. And that's because I was used to the rotor. And if you've seen a rotor, you know that it's that more rounded, kind of bubbly looking thing. Maybe bubbly is like too far, but it is a very rounded loader, especially compared to the Spire. But now that I've played with it and looked at it a little bit more, I really, really like how it looks. It's got these sharp lines and edges, and it looks super aggressive and sleek. It looks like something you'd see in a wind tunnel with like windy wind swooshes coming off of it, and it looks awesome. It looks really cool. And that's obviously personal preference, but I like how it looks. I figured I'd mention that because I think it looks really, really like a sleek, aggressive piece of kit. The third thing is that it feels really, really high end. When you hold it, it feels really high quality, really well put together. It doesn't feel cheap at all. The materials feel nice and strong. And when you hold it, you can tell it's gonna work well. You know, it's not something where where it feels like it's gonna fall apart if you blow on it. It's a very high end, high quality, solid piece of equipment. And you know, it's the budget option, but you still pay $100 for it. And so that's not exactly cheap. But when you hold it, you feel like you know where your $100 went. You know, it feels good. It feels like a $100 piece of equipment, and it's really nice. So I really like that. You feel like you get your money's worth just when you hold it and how it's put together. You know, you jiggle it and you don't hear any jiggling. So that's really nice how high end and high quality that it feels. The fourth thing is how easy it is to disassemble. But I will go ahead and say that that's like more of like not a negative than it is a positive, if that makes sense. And that's because every high-end loader nowadays is very easy to disassemble. That's one of my favorite things about modern loaders, is how easy they are to disassemble. For the vast majority of like when I was playing more seriously, I was using a Halo B, and anyone who used the Halo B knows how much of a pain they were to take apart. They had, instead of this cool mechanism for taking it apart, it had a clamshell design, and so they were easy to take away. You just unscrewed the 8 gajillion screws and just pop it apart. But when you had to put it back together, that's when you wanted to just kill yourself, because like you had to make sure every bit was in place, and you were holding it sideways so it could just like fall over sometimes. And then you had to make sure you lined it up perfectly, and you were trying to not lose the tiny washers and screws, and it really, really, really sucked. But nowadays, all modern loaders are super easy to take apart. You can take these apart like while you're playing if you have an issue, and that's just fantastic. That's something that the Virtue Spire does really well. And so to take it apart, you saw how easy it is. I'll just kind of give you a bit more of an in-depth look. There's this locking button. When it's slid down, you can't press the button, and so when it's down, it's in the lock position. You can't take it apart. You push it up, and then you press the button. This is actually a button that you can press. You press that button and this bit pops right out. And then there's like a tab pulley thing here. You just pull it out and then all of the guts come out. And so there's the Spire again. This has no electronics or mechanical parts in it at all. So you can just like dunk this in a tank of water, spray with a hose, and this will be fine. And all your guts are here. You can see the batteries right there. And so that's how easy it is to take apart. I took it apart in like 30 seconds. And then you just, to put it back together, you just slide it back in, clicks into place, and bam, you're done. And so those are the big 4 pros that I have with it. It feeds well, it looks good, it feels great and high end, and it's easy to disassemble. Moving on to the cons, I'll go ahead and say that these are 3 very, very minor issues. I don't think that anyone should pass on the Spire because of these 3 issues that I bring up, mostly because 2 of them are very specific. The first is relevant to DSR owners. I shoot a die DSR, and if you're interested about the die DSR, I've actually got a video coming up where I review the DSR. I also talk about the feed neck issue that I'm about to talk more in depth and DSR centric. So look out for that if you're interested in the DSR. Anyways, moving back to the Spire, because of the way the feed neck is sized, and because you can't make fine adjustments on the DSR feed neck, you have to tighten it really tight to get the DSR to stay in place. because you can't make the fine adjustments. It's either the DSR is going to be wiggling around when you're and falling out when you're running around, or you have to clamp the feed neck super tight to the point where it feels like something's going to bend or break. I guess it's like a testament to both the materials of the Dye DSR feed neck and the Virtue Spire feed neck that nothing has broken or bent so far, but it's like uncomfortably tight for me. I'm like, is something gonna break? So yeah, that's the first con, very DSR specific, and I guess you could just get a new feed neck. It might even be more of an issue for the DSR than the Spire IR. The second issue that I have is this with this locking button. So down is locked, up is unlocked. And when I'm playing, I'll notice sometimes that I guess just kind of jostling around and running around and stuff like that, that I will actually slide up into the unlocked position. It's not like a performance issue because like you still have to press the button to get the top out. Like, you know, it's unlocked right now, but it's not gonna go anywhere. But still, it doesn't feel nice. I talk about how high-end and high quality and well put together it feels, and this is, I think, the cheapest feeling part of the loader, is how it will slide up sometimes. Like, it doesn't cause any performance issues. I've never seen the top fly off. I've never had that happen, never seen that happen to anybody else. But, you know, it doesn't feel as good as the rest of the loader. So, yeah. And the final thing, and this is like a very specific issue, probably isn't an issue for anyone else, but I figured I'd mention it just in case there are people who have like similar problems that I do. And that's, sometimes I have a hard time telling how much paint is in here when to reload. I'm not like new to the game. I've been playing, cumulatively I've played paintball for around 5 or 6 years. And I know when to reload. And even when I like look in there and I'm like, oh, I need to reload, like 9 times out of 10 I'll reload and I overfill it. And I've never had that issue before. Maybe just the way the paint sits in here or the view into it or something like that, but I very consistently will load paint and have it overfill. And that's a really funny issue. It could just be I'm an idiot. I'm not used to the lower rate of fire. I don't know. So that could just be me, but I figured it's something that I would mention. If other Spire users have experienced the same thing, I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that. Those are the 3 issues that I found. The feed neck issue, like I said, this is almost more of a DSR issue. The locking button sliding up and down, and then the fact that it seems like it's kind of hard to tell how much paint is actually in the hopper. So yeah. Now I'm going to show you some shooting videos where you can see how the loader loads while it's shooting. I did one video with the spring ramp and one video without the spring ramp to help you guys make a decision on whether you think the spring ramp is worth it. It's $10. I bought one. So, here you go.
Ready, set, go.
So as you can see from the 2 videos, the spring ramp actually does kind of make a difference. If you notice with the video without the spring ramp, there's quite a few more straggler balls at the end compared to with the spring ramp. And so I think it does make a difference. And I actually did shoot another take without the spring ramp, and there was a solid like 5 or 6 seconds where I actually thought there was no paint left, and then 2 more very final straggler balls came out. And so in my opinion, the spring ramp does make a difference, but it makes a difference in a very like small situation. If you find yourself like really frustrated when you're finishing your hopper that there's these straggler balls that come out, if that's a really important thing to you, then the spring ramp might be worth it. If not, then don't bother with this spring ramp. But the thing is, it's only $10. So if $10 is a lot of money for you, maybe pass on the spring ramp, but do note that it does seem to make a very it does seem to make a difference with those straggler balls. In conclusion, the Spire IR, I think, is a great buy for $100. It's really well made. It does its job really, really well. I've never had a problem with it feeding, and that's the most important thing. I think it looks great. It's hard to beat for $100. So if you're considering the Spire IR and you're okay with the price, I think go for it. It's great. It's not going to give you any problems. It's, you know, a piece of kit that you don't have to worry about working. You turn it on, you know it's going to work, and you know it's going to do what you want it to do. So the Virtue Spire IR at $100, it's a buy. So thanks for watching this video. If you like this content, if you want to see more of it, just, you know, go ahead and subscribe, like, share the video with your friends, comment, do all that stuff. Thanks.